And good evening, I'm Greg Copeland. We are following some breaking news tonight. An airplane apparently has been stolen out of SeaTac Airport.
Here's what we've been told. An employee of either one of the airlines of SeaTac Airport, we're not exactly sure right now. This is from one of our sources, has taken what appears to be a Horizon plane. This plane is up in the air. This is an unauthorized person who has taken this plane. F-15s have been scrambled.
So this all happened about 45 minutes ago, and we've spent a good portion of that time trying to verify that this was actually happening. This is a Q400. That's a Bombardier airplane. It's that dual turboprop that does all the puddle jumpers that fly all around the Northwest. And this is the first person who has said he's seen this plane actually crash, which contradicts what we have been hearing about them trying to figure out how to land this. But you had all.
Well, here we go. Here's some pictures. It looks like you see that big plume of black smoke. Is that what we're seeing here in these pictures? Okay, here's the video. Gosh,
we're watching it with you here. So this is the
here it is.
This is chilling. Herb, did you get a sense if this plane crashed in the middle of the island, at the tip of the island? So we should mention, you know, we do have our aviation expert, Glenn Farley, here with us.
We had somebody that managed to get this plane, get this airplane started.
Because these are our very first images from Sky King over the crash site on Ketron Island.
Natalie Swaby is still out at SeaTac Airport. She's been talking to some of those passengers tonight, and she's going to join us live now with more on what they had to say. Natalie?
Several clips from Broadcastify strung together. This really runs the gamut in terms of what this guy was talking about, what he was thinking.
I've got a lot of people that care about me, and it's going to disappoint them to hear that I did this. I would like to apologize to each and every one of them. Just a broken guy, got a few screws loose, I guess. Never really knew it until now. I mean, I don't need that much help. I played some video games before. Minimum wage. We'll chalk it up to that. Maybe that'll grease the gears a little bit with the higher up. Damn it, Andrew! People's lives are at stake here.
Now, Rich, don't say stuff like that.
No, I told you, I don't want to hear no one. I just want you to whisper sweet nothings into my ear.
Yeah, guys, right now we're at the Stillicum Ferry Terminal. That is closest to the island where that plane crashed. This is also the command post for the operation. Because it's so remote, they're actually having to use a ferry to get crews out to respond.
He flies like right over our heads, like clear up, like maybe like 20 feet up in the air, like right over our heads. And they're like, that's really close. So he flew around. He went over some houses, but we thought that they were just like doing the sharp maneuvers, and the two fighter jets were like following, cutting close.
That is not a drone. That is a real plane.
A commercial plane stolen from SeaTac Airport by a Horizon employee.
The plane flew for more than an hour before crashing.
Michael Crow and photojournalist Joseph Huerta, they were covering developments as they unfolded overnight.
You only had to look up to see what brought air traffic to a halt.
And this guy was circling this, I don't know how many times.
Yeah, it was literally like, it was like right there.
Crazy. There's like radio stations, ambulance everywhere around us. It was very strange.
Strange barely covers it.
What the hell?
It shook the house. Yeah, it shook the house. It really did. And then we were like really scared, and then people told us to get out of the island.
The island is so remote, fire crews had to commandeer a ferry to reach the crash.
Greg, we talked to his friends both last night and today. They also confirm and identify the pilot as 29-year-old Richard Russell of Sumner, who goes by the nickname Bebo.
Ted Land joins us now from the ferry terminal.
Sharon and Wayne Decker live on the island and had to evacuate last night.
There was smoke.
There was smoke and there was risk, and the whole island could have gone up.
For now, we'll head over to King 5's Jenna Hanchard on Fox Island.
At the annual Fox Island Fair.
So you missed the crash.
Just about everyone saw what happened.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows.
And it was going straight down. And I jumped up and I said, holy I said, that plane's going to crash.
Oh, my gosh. To our little island? Because we thought it was coming to Fox Island and crashing somewhere.
Flew up, did a barrel roll. I said, Charlene, you ought to see this guy. He is incredible.
Unfortunately, we wanted to take pictures, but we didn't know what was going on. We just thought it was a maneuver. We had no idea. Because of JBLM. You never know what's going on over there.
I looked away, and when I looked back, it was like...
From Fox Island, it isn't far.
Oh, if we come around the corner, Ketron will be the smallest island to the left.
Doug Nelson can usually take his fishing boat there.
Yeah, U.S. Coast Guard, the fishing vessel.
Roger that, Cam. You're the white fishing vessel, gray outboard, and appears someone in a blue jacket on deck.
But today...
yes, Roger. This is a King 5 camera crew. Over.
We can't get close.
Roger that, Cam. There's a safety zone around the island right now. I request you stand off from shore and move further south to the south end of the island. Over.
Okay, roger that.
Today, the FBI, they held a press conference. They were outlining what the agency does know so far. And King 5's Chris Ingalls is joining us live near SeaTac Airport with that part of our coverage. Chris. King 5's aviation specialist Glenn Farley joining us now. Some context, perspective about all of this. We heard him say it's a difficult, complex aircraft to fly.
Today we're getting a better look at the flight and the interception by the F-15 fighter jets. King 5's Vanessa Michania is live now in Steilacoom with a closer look. Vanessa?
So what actually happened inside the cockpit?
Susanna Frame listened to the air traffic control recording. She joins us now with what she has learned so far.
Tonight, the King 5 investigators revealed that Washington has a shameful track record of taking our students in special education and segregating them.
As King 5's Susanna Frame reports in her ongoing investigation, Back of the Class, decades of science reveals this isn't good for any student, whether they have a disability or not.
The little boy in this grainy home video is 13-year-old Sam Clayton, an 8th grader attending his first ever school dance.
He really wanted to go, and he'd never done that before, and I thought, well, yeah, let's just take him. You know, he likes music.
This February, parents Sandy and Rob were so proud their special needs son with Down syndrome wanted to join in. But standing in the back of the gym that day, the parents' hearts sank. They realized while Sam was surrounded by kids, he was really alone.
No one spoke to him. No one came and said, hi, Sam. No one danced with him. No one took a selfie with him. He was aware. He was aware that there were no kids around him.
Sam's parents don't blame the kids, but the isolating culture created by administrators at his school, Taffet-Sahaly Middle School in Federal Way. In Sam's 3 years there, he spent every single day, all day, in a self-contained classroom with other disabled students. Zero interaction with the other kids.
How does it make you feel to know that he is being segregated?
It's really hard. He's got so much to offer.
But like Sam, thousands of children in Washington state are shut out of regular classrooms. Our investigation found only 54% of our kids with disabilities spend a majority of their day in general ed. And for students with intellectual disabilities like Down syndrome and autism, that number's down to 5%. Only 2 states in the country, Nevada and Illinois, have a number worse than that. The Claytons try to make up for Sam's segregated school life by getting him out into the community. Good job. He's a swimmer, a drummer, a church member, ukulele player.
Very good.
But his parents worry at school, he's the disabled kid.
It breaks my heart that there are kids in his school who may not understand, that don't understand what Down syndrome is, that may be afraid of it.
Historically, the Washington state legislature has knowingly underfunded special education, and it's cost us. Federal data analyzed by the King 5 investigator shows only 58% of our special ed kids are graduating from high school, and 34% are dropping out. Only 2 other states have a dropout rate that's worse.
I think it's just wrong on so many levels, and not just for Sam, but for, you know, the other kids in the school. It's an opportunity lost. We can't get this through these 3 years back.
It's a taxpayer-funded housing program that's supposed to help people take their first step toward the American dream, home ownership. Instead, a King 5 investigator uncovers people using their affordable homes as rentals and not living in them at all.
And this is happening in the program known as ARCH. It's the biggest affordable housing program anywhere in East King County.
Right now, we have about 13,000 registered apprentices in the state of Washington.
John Altman owns a condo at the McKee. He is senior education advisor to Washington Governor Jay Inslee. His wife, Nona Snell Altman, is the chief deputy clerk for the Washington House of Representatives, seated here at the front of the House floor when lawmakers are in session.
Hi, Ms. Altman. We're from the King 5 investigators.
We found Nona Altman as she was leaving her office inside the Capitol Dome.
How is it that you and your husband qualify for your condo at the McKee?
I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm a little caught off guard by this.
Okay.
And I'm also on my way somewhere.
The Altmans own one of 9 affordable housing condos at the McKee that is administered by Arch, a regional coalition for housing operated by 15 East Side cities.
East King County's largest affordable housing program is now reviewing its policies and procedures.
That's because of what Chris Ingalls reported about a program called Arch.
So Governor Jay Inslee has signed a bill into law, and it's designed to make it easier for workers on the Hanford Nuclear Reservation to qualify for worker compensation benefits.
The new law is the result of years of work from the King 5 investigators.
I want to thank King 5 and Susanna Frame for keeping this in the public eye. That helps in getting this bill, so thank you very much.
The bill will open a door to help sick workers get medical help and compensation they've routinely been denied.
100% miracle. In 9 years that we've been fighting for his rights, his L&I, we have hope. It's given to us. Justice has been served. It's a miracle.
Seattle. Over the past 5 years, the nation's second fastest growing city has become the crane capital of America and home to the 3rd largest homeless population. It's easy to see who's at the top and who's on the bottom. I wanted to find the people in the middle to see how they're hanging on and trying to avoid being priced out.
We're in front of my current home, 1921 Craftsman, old world charm aplenty. Stained glass windows inside my father made. It's a beautiful house. It's the American dream. It's what everyone wants right now and can't get in Seattle. And I've got it. Barely. I am Amy Marie Douglas, and I am an artist. This is the letterpress studio at the School of Visual Concepts, downtown Seattle. There is character in Seattle, the Seattle that I grew up in, the little craftsmans, the Cape Cods, those things. We're losing that. We're getting all of the gray boxes. That's not to place blame on new people coming here that just haven't adjusted to what Seattle is. I just think that there's a lot of pressure that comes with living here.
How does your story end?
That's a good one. I think if I'm going to be realistic about it, I think it ends with me going elsewhere. Gotta make a move to a town that's right for me.
In a 5-month investigation, King 5's Taylor Mirfendereski reveals how the safeguards in place to protect the veteran fell apart and left him broken again.
This one right here, this is the combat action badge.
This is the uniform Cordball wore for the last 10 years in the U.S. Army.
I wore it with pride.
But he'll never wear it again. In 2011, Ball deployed to Afghanistan as an aviation operations specialist. He returned home 10 months later, a broken man. Over the next several years, Ball's life fell apart. He got panic attacks, wrestled with addiction. He tried to kill himself 4 times. Doctors diagnosed him with anxiety and chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. It doesn't take a diagnosis, though, to see how troubled he is.
We witnessed like a mass slaughtering where the Taliban went in and killed, I think it was like 200 people or something like that. But we couldn't do anything to stop them, like, because it wasn't like our soldiers involved. And I didn't understand that. It didn't make any sense to me. Like kids and everything, like women, it was everyone. But so I don't like to talk about that.
Ball obviously needed help, so the Army stepped up. They put him on a track to get out of the Army with a medical discharge.
They viewed him as a bad soldier instead of a sick soldier.
And last year, Ball got in trouble again. He failed a drug test for marijuana.
Kind of weighing my options at the time of whether I wanted to use cannabis or kill myself. I didn't really think of getting in trouble.
Dr. April Gerlach is a former VA medical provider and a highly regarded PTSD expert.
These disorders impact how they interact with people.
She says for a soldier like Ball, going missing and smoking pot are textbook symptoms of PTSD. Ball's captain put a halt to his medical discharge process, stopping the path to long-term help. And instead, she decided to kick him out of the Army for misconduct, commission of a serious offense. And in that process, the Army's own doctors went out of their way to confirm Ball's medical problems caused his behavior. They said the situation was putting the soldier at risk of suicide, and an other than honorable discharge would cause him to lose the veteran health care benefits that could save his life.
The medical providers made the right call, yes. But it's a command decision.
Despite that medical advice, JBLM's commanding general signed off on those 3 words. Now, the country Ball fought for is refusing to fight for him.
Tonight, healthcare officials at JBLM's Madigan Hospital speak exclusively to King 5.
The Madigan employees say soldiers recovering from the mental stress of combat are seen as troublemakers. And instead of helping those soldiers, they say the Army simply chooses to get rid of them.
The rats jumping out of the water, hurry up and get them out. They are too much trouble.
We agreed to conceal this Madigan official's identity because they don't have permission from the Army to talk.
So what you're saying is the Army's policies to protect these soldiers don't work.
It doesn't work. Nope, not at all.
Records show Madigan medical experts repeatedly warn Ball's commanders an other than honorable discharge would be the wrong move.
What is the point of having the medical community weigh in and validate if it's not going to be taken into consideration? Because every one of those medical statements was totally ignored. The commanders shouldn't have that amount of power.
How confident are you that there are more Sergeant Balls out there?
Oh, absolutely confident. There is no doubt in my mind that there are a lot more Sergeant Balls, not just here in this installation, just Army-wide. This is why we continue to lose our veterans. Because now, what does he have to hold on to? Nothing.
We are interrupting to bring you some breaking news right now, and this is some weather news. We are looking at what could be a tornado touching down near the Port Orchard area. You can see trees down on homes, debris everywhere.
We actually have video of what could have been this tornado, according to the National Weather Service. There you go. Take a look at this. And this, by looking at this.
And we see this huge, huge cloud coming down from the sky. Looked like something out of a horror movie. And she didn't believe me at first because she thought that would never happen here. She's lived here 30 years.
So take a look at what this home looks like now. We have a picture of what this home looked like before. This is the Google Street View of the home.
This storm was way too weak for any of that. 10,000 feet high and no clear signature of any circulation. We had no way of seeing this thing coming.
No one was even remotely prepared. Drew Mclaughlin is live in Port Orchard for us to give us a sense of exactly what we're now seeing as people are really left to pick up the pieces, Drew.
Yeah, we were able to walk in. The roads are blocked around this area for obvious reasons, but we were able to walk in and get our first on the ground look.
It literally looks like somebody brushed a comb over the trees and pushed them all over these houses.
Yeah, we are here on the north side of this closure as the rain continues to intensify, and what is going on here behind me, you can see that there are people who live in this neighborhood who are standing by waiting for the South Kitsap Fire Department to allow them to go in.
Due east of the big Walmart Supercenter right there. Across the parking lot, the Wendy's, a very busy part of town. Natalie.
Yeah, here in this Walmart parking lot, we have the fire crews, utility crews, we have law enforcement. This is where they come to coordinate.
John Mueller was at work when his red house was hit hard by the tornado.
Every window is smashed.
We are taking a closer look at how the community is coming together to help. For more on that, we turn to my colleague, Jenna Hancher.
I saw the twister coming at us, and then it went right through our house. And
while you were inside?
Yeah.
A moment, but I want to change it over to meteorologist Craig Herrera to answer the questions for us. How often does this happen? And the big question as to why.
And we have team coverage this morning with Jake and Mimi, our South Bureau Chief Drew Mclaughlin, Alex Rozier, all on site.
We've seen a lot of pictures and video, but to see this firsthand, you can see at least 3 trees uprooted.
Let's take a live look. This is from our Dexter drone right now.
It has been a rough 24 hours in this community.
Our bedroom door ripped off the hinges, hit me in the head, and then continued sailing down the hallway towards him.
They were at home when the freak funnel came knocking, along with fallen trees, trapping their daughter inside.
She was trapped in the back bathroom, and he would not leave without her.
my daughter comes first. I don't care about myself.
Tonight we're starting a new series we're calling Race and Parenting. By no means do these conversations represent the voices and opinions of all black people, of course, but this is a jumping off point. We hope you'll be able to relate to these families and their experiences, and we hope you'll take something away from their stories and their honesty.
The goal is for you to continue the conversations in your home.
Say grace.
So should we say grace now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
God, thank you for this food we're about to receive for nourishing our bodies and this time together in the name of Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah.
Thank you. Get in.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
I think every black person, black child, black, anyone in general, there comes a moment when you know that you're black.
When did you all kind of first realize you were black?
I was playing soccer in middle school, and I was the only black girl on the team.
How do I embody blackness in a sea of whiteness?
Mm-hmm. And how do you do it?
Yeah, it really is this method of what can I do to ensure that that I'm able to advance, and how do I hang on to the fact that that I do like fried chicken, but I won't eat it in public.
Right.
That I do love watermelon, but I'm not going to eat it around you all.
Right.
That I do enjoy these things, but no, actually no, I'm fine. Right. It's you know, how do you? It's a constant sacrifice, right? It is this constant struggle and tension that we have to live with just to exist.
As a black man, I don't feel comfortable jogging down the street, and better not put a hoodie on and go jogging, right? Like, because if you're running, then you're either did something wrong or you're about to go do something wrong, right?
And do you think you'll have a conversation with your kids about that, with your 2 boys? I mean, because you have 2 black boys.
2 black boys. Go to the gym, son. Don't be running. don't be running in the streets.
Since 2005, there have been 386 larger fires that required some sort of coordinated response to put them out. And we found an obvious trend over time. More of them. We also found they're burning longer. We analyzed data on every major wildfire since 2005, specifically Chinook salmon, otherwise known as king salmon. It's the orca's primary food source, and their numbers are dwindling too, down 60% since the EPA started tracking fish in the 80s. That's causing more whales to go hungry and more susceptible to disease. Also, underwater noise is a problem. Orcas rely on sounds to find food, and with more boats on the water, noise is a factor in fish finding for the orcas. Then there's pollution.
What about that green flash? For just a moment, as the sun dips below the horizon, the green light that until now is being bent away from our eyes becomes visible. The result is a greenish hue that appears just above the setting sun. When the Seahawks take the field in Seattle, CenturyLink Field can be one of the loudest stadiums in the country. But on certain days, sound seems to be louder on the field than other days. And our Pacific Northwest weather is one reason why. What's going on here? We're talking about temperature inversions. Normally, the air gets cooler the higher you go. But when there's an inversion, a layer of warm air sits above a layer of cool air near the ground. This downward bending of sound waves makes it sound louder, a definite home field advantage on game day.
Former Seahawks players say the team has a playbook to fight their claims, and the State Department of Labor and Industries rubber stamps it.
These are not your average home videos. The footage shows Jerry Wunsch living his daily life. A walk across the street with his girlfriend, a coffee run, the trip to Walmart, several scenes where Wunsch is a volunteer football coach at his son's school.
They used that video to say that your life in professional football did not hurt you. What do you think about that?
I felt appalled. The first day I got there, Paul Allen walked up to me and told me, "Welcome to the family. And if this is how you treat your family, I don't want to be part of it."
Heavy fire. Independence Day had them ready for a show in the sky.
All of I-5 could see that, no question.
But this,
oh my God, look at that,
is not what anyone expected.
They're still putting it out now.
A fire at an industrial building in Soto, burning stacks of junk cars, sending a plume of smoke into the air that could be seen across downtown. A blaze that immediately set firefighters on defense.
Everybody get ready, we're going to be defensive.
A lot of explosion. I don't know what's blowing up in there. Something is blowing up.
I've seen some debris up in the smoke too.
Right. I'm Jason Hippy. I'm 15. I go to Garfield High School.
Yeah, my name is Martin Herrera. I go to Garfield High. I'm 16 years old.
My name is Colum Scott. I go to school at Garfield High School. I'm a sophomore. It's so crazy that people are allowed to do this, or how easy it is to get their hands on guns and bring them into schools.
I mean, it doesn't, not every day I enter my school and I'm thinking, like I'm worrying that I'm gonna get shot, but I do think about it when it happens, definitely, yeah.
I feel like I'm safe at Garfield High School. That's pretty much as everybody else around me.
And it just underscores how we all have to take care of our environment.
First, the warning sign caught Randy Stone's eye. Then came the frustration.
This is so sad. This should not be. Not with a place like Alki Beach where there's so many caring people.
This is sad.
The lifeless California sea lion is the fifth one found near West Seattle in the last 6 weeks. At least 2 of the sea lions died of gunshot wounds, according to NOAA.
We need people that's going to stand for what's right. We're proud of who we are as part of this nation, and we've been granted the opportunity, given the right to be who we are and to serve this country. Some years going back, that wasn't the case. It's not 2 sides. There's one side. The side is injustice. That's the side, injustice. I don't fault Mr. Kaepernick. I look at the root of the problem. So I don't see where it's a thing against the veterans or why the veterans was disrespected. I wasn't disrespected. I stand for the flag and I kneel for Jesus.
This is the scene we fear. A gunman opens fire. It could be a school, a factory, an office building. In this case, it's a casino, and I'm in the middle of it.
What you're about to see is an active shooter simulation. It took place during a day-long training seminar over the summer for employees at the Snoqualmie Casino.
For one day in July, they trained the casino staff. The first lesson?
You and I are the first responders. The people that are on the ground in an event are the first responders.
The shooter, played by instructor Doc Harris, enters the room and opens fire. As we scramble for the nearest exit, it's hard to tell where the shooter is because it's dark and the music is loud.
That was loud.
It definitely happened so fast. Shocking. I didn't think I would be so affected.
Pretty loud, right? Who could smell the smell?
Brian DeCora holds a small meeting. The gunman walks in and takes him out. But watch how quickly the employees take the gunman down. Had they done nothing, Everyone could have been killed.
In this game, we don't run from it. We don't avoid the conversation.
Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy.
There are struggles that have shaped our history. A history that has said, you can't play here with us. Victories may lead us to believe that we have overcome, that we don't need to talk about it, but we do.
That's what we're gonna do, you heard it.
In many ways, these courts, these fields, have been a way to discuss more than just wins and losses.
There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Herrera.
So here on King 5, in a special presentation of race and sports, we'll nod to our past and embrace a real discussion of our present, of our future.
How do you know if that person is the one for you? How did she know? How did he know? Maybe it's this. Maybe it's this simple. You just do. Maybe we should start this love story with Kenny's tattoo, Do Life. It says it right there.
It's two simple words.
Do life. His philosophy of life.
You know, you got to show up when life shows up.
His mantra. I mean,
here we go.
Their mantra now.
Doing life with you. Indeed. She's helping me. She's showing me how.
Let's rewind this love story. Rewind 3 years before Claire met Kenny, before they started saying these things.
Kenny, you are my best friend.
And feeling these things.
Yeah, she's that emotional rock.
You have brought so much joy and love and have just filled my life with purpose.
Absolutely, I love her, yeah.
I'm so happy that I found you.
By interview, she means the interview for the job as Kenny's caregiver.
I swear to this day that I left and said, I think I'm gonna fall for my boss. I called my sister, just because of his blue eyes and his infectious personality.
Claire got the job, then she lost the job. Fired. Not because of anything she did, no. It's because of what she said. Go ahead, say what you said.
Oh, I said I have a secret. If you weren't my boss, I'd kind of want to date you. I was so nervous, and I was running back into the bathroom and just so nervous.
Hair on the back of my neck standing up.
Yeah.
Like,
And then I get a message the next day.
You're fired?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Of it. And now, here's the best part.
Yeah, I said, will you marry me? You said?
I think I said absolutely.
The wedding is in 3 months. It's been said, and it's worth repeating. Love is the answer. That's his other tattoo.
North Seattle is not a wasteland.
It's a great little neighborhood.
Yet a crime spree here.
So it's that big of a problem? It's got the neighbors pretty upset.
Has left a trail of evidence.
This is the work of a man with a modus operandi.
Neighbors like Bob Snyder say
it's human, or a really big dog.
It doesn't pass the smell test.
Somebody felt it was important enough that they wanted to put up signage.
He's part of a new kind of neighborhood watch.
It's a serial pooper.
Looking for a pair of suspected squatters.
There is hazards that go along with having people do that sort of thing in your yard.
You got to watch your step.
You got to watch your step.
This manure mystery hasn't prompted a sniff from police. We went there to get to the bottom of it or them or something like that.
How serious does the Seattle Police Department take this kind of crime?
Well, I think it's a pretty serious thing for all of us when there's poop.
Sergeant Sean Whitcomb says a fecal fine could top $1,000.
The perpetrator or poopatrator, as the case may be, would need to have been caught in the act.
But even Whitcomb acknowledges it is not the department's top priority or even number 2.
Violent crime, property crime, these are the things that keep us busy. We're not going to be staking out a certain street waiting for the phantom pooper to come by and leave their mess.
Until then, Matthias Caldwell may have trouble sleeping.
Maybe not, I know. It's pretty terrifying Thinking about serial poop? No, I'm gonna be fine. I mean, there's poop on the ground all the time.
He'll definitely keep his eyes open, his nose pinched, and we'll keep our tongues firmly in cheek.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Take 5 here on King 5. It's our maiden voyage, our first show. I'm Chris Cashman. We're thrilled that you would be here. Big thank you to our opening act, Ellen DeGeneres. She's been keeping that time slot warm for us for so long. Let's introduce you to the gang here. Jordan Steele.
What's up? Get up. Hey, everybody.
I got to get him a wash. We'll get him a wash. Come on over here.
Sorry about that.
Angela Russell is here. Michelle Lee is here, and we're thrilled that you are.
And this is what happens to adult women in technology. Now, that explains why some are leaving the profession, right? But what about our girls, the ones that never even give it a shot? According to one significant study, when girls are in elementary school, 31% say they're good in math. By middle school, that number drops to 18%. Now, did their brains just suddenly change in a way that made them less capable? I don't think so. But you know as well as I do that our kids, regardless of gender, are inundated with these subtle messages that are with them from the time they emerge from the womb. Take our producer's recent shopping trip to the store for a baby gift. Look at the pink onesies. They focus on being cute. And the ones labeled for boys that are blue have rocket ships on them and encourage them to reach for the stars.
And when you look around, what do you see in the women that surround you here?
I think it's a pretty special moment. I think it shows that in every profession right now, women are rising to the top. And you see it, if we filled this room with all the amazing women in Seattle, there'd be so many out the door. We are just at a moment in time where I think women are stepping up, stepping forward, and I just feel really honored to be here with this group.
I see a lot of dignity, grace, compassion, and women who know how to get the job done.
It's really amazing to see elected officials, to see women in power, and to see really women leading Seattle. And it's pretty awesome to be a part of that.
When I grew up, this would not have happened. You know, I can say actually things have changed. But then, you know, the younger students remind me we still haven't had a woman president of the U.S. We still, you know, all the progress we need to make.
We're mourning the loss of this officer. We believe that this officer is a father of 3, and we know that that officers, again, are gathering. We have Jake Wittenberg, who is down there. We have Mimi Jung, Alex Rozier, and Amity Adrisi, all gathering in Tacoma. What we believe happened is that the officer was responding to some kind of burglary call, and that got into some kind of confrontation with the suspects. One of those suspects was killed. Another is at large.
I want to give you a look behind me here. We're awaiting the procession for the fallen deputy here. It's just been a very somber morning, as you can imagine. This is a young father, a father of 3 kids. Those kids remain at home in bed right now. According to the Pierce County Sheriff's spokesperson, they have not yet learned the news that their father has been killed. The wife is here, the in-laws are here, his parents are here. So it's just been devastating to watch this all unfold here this morning.
But here's a look at the scene where the suspect was shot.
Here we are, 176th and Canyon Road here in Frederickson. You can see sheriff's deputies and police cars fortified on pretty much every major roadway here.
This is St. Joseph Medical Center, which is on J Street right in downtown Tacoma. That procession is about 2 miles long, that distance from St. Joe's to the medical examiner's office, which I believe is on 34th Street. And you want to go outside and pay your respects as this procession passes through to honor this officer. It is going to happen in the next few minutes.
And here comes the fallen officer. Sheriff Paul Pastor alongside the casket that is draped in an American flag right now. Family follows behind. A heartbreaking, emotional sight outside of St. Joseph Medical Center right now. as dozens of law enforcement, as the family of this brave deputy pay their respects.
We can confirm that a tornado touched down just south of Port Orchard around 2 p.m. this afternoon.
Right now, Safeway parking lot.
It started heavy rain, and then hail, and then the wind, and I saw the tornado like spinning, and I thought I was gonna get sucked up.
We're at the other end of the house, and the trees came down right in the middle of the living room.
It literally looked like somebody brushed a comb over the trees and pushed them all over these houses. And it was pretty devastating. It's just amazing. It sounded just scary. I'm very blessed to be still here. My car is still here. And just to see my neighbors going through all this tragedy, just sad.
Trees toppled right into homes. Neighborhoods looked like disaster zones. Structures unrecognizable. Roofs reduced to splinters and debris. All this damage caused by a rare tornado that touched down in Port Orchard this afternoon.
This is what the twister left behind. Take a look at the left. That is what the area looked like before the storm. And then on the right, the same area after today's tornado. The damage and debris almost incomprehensible following a storm that was so briefly on the ground.
The tornado blew the roof right off of this red house. Take a look. The left side is what it looked like before today, the right after the tornado hit it. King 5 has assembled the Yellow Jackets to bring you team coverage tonight. We begin with Natalie Swaby, who talked to the owner of that home.
I'm Natalie Swaby, and tonight we are in a Walmart parking lot. This has been a meeting spot for utility crews, firefighters, and law enforcement. They've been coming here to coordinate. Then it's right back out to those neighborhoods that need help. Earlier tonight, we were in one of those areas, and we talked with the family after they saw the damage the tornado did to their home.
As soon as I saw a video that was shot from the Safeway gas station just down the road, it was pointed directly to my house, and I could see the debris of the roof just coming off.
John Mueller was at work when his red house was hit hard by the tornado.
Every window is smashed. My garage door is in my garage, folded in half and crunkled.
It looks like the house took its hat off.
John and his daughters got a closer look tonight. Jasmine's bed is buried.
This is my bed, and this is all the insulation that just came tumbling down.
If my daughter and son were in there, they would have been hurt severely. There is furniture tipped over everywhere. There are 2x4s stuck in the walls.
As some families return to their homes,
it's kind of sad seeing half these houses kind of destroyed.
Hannah Lawhead reflects on the day.
This is sort of the beginning of it. It happened fast, but it kind of felt like it was in slow motion almost at the same time.
It wasn't until later that she learned her dad had an up-close and uncomfortable view.
What I was looking at, he was in the middle of it.
I was on the corner of Salmonberry and Bethel Road.
Russell Lawhead was in a parking lot.
I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know it was a tornado. I'm just seeing this big tree fall behind me and debris flying, and then it's over. I counted 9 cars in a row that had all the black back windows were blown out.
Back on John Street, he counts his blessings.
I can't say enough that I thank God that nobody was hurt.
Tonight, he says he has what he truly needs.
All of us together, that's the first step. Everything after that is okay.
John says something that meant a lot to him is that his church, his co-workers, and the Red Cross have already reached out to see if there's anything that his family needs. In Port Orchard, Natalie Swaby, King 5 News.
Here is perhaps what is most incredible about what happened today is that no one was injured or killed by this tornado. Now here is ground zero. This is southeast Tiburon Court, where most of the houses were damaged. Some of them lost their roofs. Several of them were hit by trees. Look at all of these houses here. These are all residential areas, but they were not touched. Only the houses here near Tiburon Court. Mostly. It is right here by the Walmart store and across from the Wendy's. And this is where the Safeway is. So you can see it's a very populated area. Lots of people there at 2 in the afternoon, and yet no one was seriously injured. Tonight, King 5's Chris Daniels caught up with first responders trying to keep people safe and helping others evacuate.
Good evening tonight from Port Orchard, just a couple of blocks away from where that tornado struck down in a well-populated area.
freaky.
That used to be all trees, sir, and it's just level.
That's how Toby Ryan described it as he stumbled into a couple near Ground Zero.
They said that they lost, their house is gone, but you know, they're alive, so.
You ever seen anything like that?
Not around here.
Didn't hear anything. I just, I happened to look out the window because there was a lady trying to fight her umbrella, and I saw debris flying that way, and I thought, oh my goodness, she's going to get hit by something. And the next thing I knew, I heard a crash, and I said, oh, the trees fell on the house. I mean, I knew right away what it was.
Carrie and Stan Walter had to be evacuated. Their 2 cats, too.
And the trees came down right in the middle of the living room. And 3 big trees, 3 great big tall fir trees.
All night, rescue crews worked through pounding rain.
All right, next.
To assess the damage while trying to cap a gas leak triggered by the twister.
I saw the tornado come by the window.
Shannon Blake says she already knows her home is destroyed, but is thankful her family is not.
The tree missed me by about that much.
Yet it will be a December to remember after the visit by a freak funnel.
You don't expect this to happen, not in Washington State, right?
We saw South Kitsap Fire and rescue crews pulling dogs, cats, and even small children out of the affected area, which, based on what we can see here on the ground, is going to take several days to clean up. In Port Orchard, Chris Daniels, King 5 News.
I'm Drew Mclaughlin. The tornado tore down power lines and trees and triggered gas and water main breaks, but no one apparently has been seriously injured. PSE crews will be out here overnight, and they won't be alone.
We've got this side.
Driveways are dark. Some are cut off and hard to get through. But in this neighborhood, now buried in trees, Kitsap County search and rescuers want to make sure everyone who lives here is okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
We were scared, especially when we saw the trees start going down, and then we heard that loud. It sounded like a jet. It sounded like a jet was like close, coming down low.
It wasn't a plane crash. This was a natural disaster. Dozens of trees crushed homes and knocked out power to hundreds. While the State Patrol says it appears no one was seriously hurt, nearly everyone in this neighborhood suffered some kind of property damage during the kind of afternoon storm they didn't think was possible here.
Oh, it's devastating. It's like what you see on the news, where in other countries or other states.
I saw my trampoline upside down, and I took a video or a picture, and I went to go outside, and I could smell gas, and immediately I ran outside and with my 4-year-old nephew in my hands with slippers and ran up the road for safety. It's a skid mark. They put a skid mark over here in Port Orchard. It's really sad.
Those search and rescue volunteers going door to door out here checking on folks are reminding people if they need anything to call 911. In Port Orchard, Drew Mclaughlin, King 5 News.
I'm Jenna Hanchard. We're at St. Gabriel Church in Port Orchard, where tonight the Red Cross tells us about 50 to 75 people came here. They either had to be evacuated or they came in to get warm and get some food and then went on their way. We talked to some of them this evening.
Got it?
I got it.
Okay.
At St. Gabriel Church.
Okay, thank you very much.
There's some relief.
If something happened to me, I would like somebody to help me.
Doyle Forrester came to volunteer.
Well, anything that they need. I've been putting paper in the toilet rooms and setting out chairs and tables and helping people in and out.
People like Richard Raymond.
The house is completely destroyed. It got hit by 3 large trees.
Richard showed us some pictures of the damage and said he's surprised he made it out of his home from Rhapsody Street.
I saw the twister coming at us, and then it went right through our house. And
while you were inside?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Richard, like others, are still in shock and are here for support throughout the night.
It's just really, it's nice, to see people, caring like that. I've never had to be on the receiving end of this, but it definitely helps to know that people care.
Tonight, there were a lot of people that came to drop off things. The Red Cross says the best way to help out is to donate. Reporting in Port Orchard, I'm Jenna Hanchard for King 5 News.
So we can't be everywhere when breaking news happens. We're grateful that a lot of you helped us tell the story of the storm today with your pictures and videos. Check out this video Cassidy shot. It looks like it was taken from the 2nd floor.
And then Drew took this picture. The tornado toppled over a trailer at a new housing development south of the Walmart.
And this one, a massive tree uprooted in the front yard of this home. We appreciate you sharing the images with us, and you please keep those coming.
Governor Inslee then tweeted tonight, "Our hearts are with the community in Port Orchard impacted by a rare tornado. Thank you to the crews who are working hard to restore power and assist with damages."
Just in from the South Kitsap School District, tweeting this tonight, "We anticipate schools will run on regular late start Wednesday schedule on December the 19th.
Also, the Kitsap County Sheriff's Office just tweeting that they will be on patrol in the affected neighborhood throughout the night.
Washington averages around 2 tornadoes a year, so when they do touch down, it's a very small location that they occur and very rare, and so they are hard to predict and they are hard to forecast.
So King 5 meteorologist Jordan Steele and Craig Herrera join us now to break down this very rare event for us in Washington, right guys?
Yeah, and you know what, we're going to be seeing what the National Weather Service surveys early tomorrow morning. They're going to be out on site looking to see whether we're going to categorize this this tornado as an EF1, EF2, or maybe even an EF3. It was very strong. It definitely caused damage, but that's something that they have to go and assess into tomorrow. But we know it was powerful, all right? Right now, radar quieting down. We're still in one area that I'm a little concerned about, which I'll get to in a moment. What I want to do is I want to rewind it to show you what radar looked like at 1:55 when that storm ripped through parts of Port Orchard, okay? We had a bullseye red dot right here with torrential rainfall and even some hail embedded in that system, and then a classic hook echo here where we actually saw a lot of the damage on that Bethel Road southeast. So here's the loop of that storm that moved through. Obviously, it had some rotation in it. It touched the surface and caused some problems. There's the hook echo, and of course, there is where we saw most of the damage around the Bethel Southeast Road, of course. Now, big picture here shows showers still hanging on. We are going to continue to see them with us, but we will eventually see a bit of a change into tomorrow. This last storm here about to move through Olympia and move its way into Lakewood, and then big picture here shows another storm on the horizon. I'm going to tackle that coming up in a moment, but I want to change it over to meteorologist Craig Herrera to answer the questions for us. How often does this happen? And the big question as to why.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned that hook, and I'm going to explain what happened, really. I want to show you, rewind again, back to 1:30. I'm going to take you 5 minutes at a time. There's the storm, and then as we advance to 5:35, watch how it progresses up to the north and northeast. You had some winds coming right off the Olympic range, gave us a little spin. You also had some clearing today that gave you some of the daytime heating. That's 150, and then finally 155. So as we go in a little bit closer, going back to 150, you can see there's the bullseye you were talking about. 155, there's Sydney Avenue, Old Clifton Road, Jackson Avenue, Bethel Road, southeast, and then there's the little hook that you're looking for. Also looks almost like a candy cane or a hook, and that's what you're looking for on the radar. The National Weather Service would be looking for that. When they see that type of rotation, they can say, hey, we've got a tornado. These things happen quickly. They don't last long, so there's not a whole lot of time to issue a tornado warning. And then the tops of these were only at 10,000 feet, so it was a powerful storm. But if they were gotten up to 40, 50,000 feet like they do out in the Eastern Plains, then we would have been talking a whole different story. How often does this happen? We've had quite a few of them. Looking back at history, we've had 3 back in 1969 and in 1972. Lori, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Craig, thank you. Still ahead, we'll hear from a woman who witnessed today's tornado. The first thing she worried about when she saw those branches flying.
Also coming up, it's been a year since that deadly train derailment in DuPont. We'll tell you what's being done now, a year later, to keep travelers safe.
And before we head to break, here's what's coming up on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
Thank you, Lori and Mark and everyone in Seattle. The one and only Michelle Obama is my guest tonight. Plus, we have music from Ariana Grande and a Christmas surprise with Horatio Sands, Chris Kattan, and Tracy Morgan. It's a great show. Stay tuned.
I was just coming back from school and driving down, went down Ramsey and just tree after trees falling down, and then came down Bethel, and as we go, I noticed there's a bunch of traffic and just house after house, tree on it, rooftops ripped off, stuff like that.
Recapping our top story tonight, a tornado has caused extensive damage in Kitsap County. Tonight, our crews are out in the dark in the rain assessing the damage, clearing down trees. Work crews are, and power lines are their top priority. The National Weather Service will be out there tomorrow to try to figure out the strength of that tornado. Meteorologists use the Fujita Scale to classify tornadoes, and Darren Peck is joining us more on this. And they can't just hold like a wind gauge in a tornado like they can a hurricane, right?
Right. We cannot do
that. So we have to go after the fact, look at the damage, and then see how bad this tornado was. It's called the Fujita Scale because it's named after the guy who came up with it. At an EF0, look what's happening to this house. Shingles are getting ripped off the roof. Now watch what happens when we go to an EF1. Watch the window right here. The window gets blown out. So at an EF1 with 86-mile-an-hour winds to 110-mile-an-hour winds, not only shingles, but pieces of the roof are getting ripped off. Now we're going to go to an EF2, and you're going to see something a little more dramatic happen here. Watch the roof. Gone. And that's with wind speeds at 111 to 135 miles an hour. Now keep in mind, that roof got ripped off solely by the intensity of the winds, not because a tree fell on it or anything else. And there's a lot of tree damage today that happened. Let me show you what stands out as probably Exhibit A for the National Weather Service tomorrow. You've probably seen this picture a lot already today. If you haven't, that's a home in Port Orchard. The roof completely gone. It's like you're looking down into a dollhouse. This is forensic evidence for the National Weather Service tomorrow, and it's important because while we can get tornadoes here in western Washington, we do not typically get strong ones. Zeros and ones on that scale happen on average 3 times a year. We've only had 5 in the whole time we've been keeping track of these that have been 2 or above. And the worst one was an EF3, by the way. This one happened back in 1972. It actually started in Portland, crossed over the Columbia River, went into Vancouver, Washington, and that's where it took 6 lives. So while, yes, the majority of tornadoes that we see here in Washington are 0 or 1s, we can get 2s or 3s, and today was likely an example of how that can happen. We'll hear more from the National Weather Service coming up tomorrow, guys.
Okay, thank you so much, Darren. King 5 photojournalist Mark Anderson sent us these pictures late this afternoon. Looks like a strip mall took a pretty big hit. We've seen crews already cleaning up, trying to clear the roadways, making sure the area is safe. Witnesses described what they saw today.
It was very scary. The first thing that came to mind was my kids, and I called EPO, the school district. They were on lockdown, and the power was out, and the phone lines were dead, and they said that they're going to be okay.
The tornado damaged the Bethel Square restaurant and lounge along Bethel Road. On the left is what it looked like before the storm. On the right, you can see the sign blown down right on the sidewalk there. It clipped a car. Utility poles and power lines also toppled in the parking lot there. So lots of damage in Port Orchard still tonight.
So lots of wind and rain there, but there was a lot of rain throughout Puget Sound today.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that bullseye highlighted right over parts of south end of Kitsap County. You know, it's ironic we talk about tornadoes. I mean, this is extremely rare. We give you an idea of how much we typically see. I wanted to give you another perspective. When we take a look at how much we average in the month of December, not even 1%, all right? 0.1 is technically what we have. The average we see on any given year between 2 and 3, that number has actually been increasing. We heard from meteorologist Rich Marriott earlier today, and he was saying, you know, when he started his career 3 decades ago, it was average about 1 to 2. Now it's from 2 to 3. Of course, situations tend to be changing as these conditions unfold, and of course, as the climate changes. With all that being said, I haven't even mentioned snow amounts yet. I mean, the snow has been coming in loads over the mountains, so much so I-90 was shut down today earlier this morning for some spinouts. A lot of the mountain ranges have had avalanche control on high alerts. We had 13 inches last night over at Crystal, 10 inches today, 5 inches since the lifts closed, and so I'm thinking they're still seeing plenty of that in the mountains. However, other locations are beginning to calm down. So when we take a look at what's happening tonight, I do think we're still going to keep a spot shower here or there. In fact, one little band I'm keeping my eye on is going to be near where we saw the tornado today. Of course, the Boeing effect shows that we might see a little breeze with this. Olympia could maybe see a little bit of some moderate rainfall. You got a thunder boom just south of you folks, and that's been tracking eastward. So we're still going to keep rain in your forecast tonight. Tomorrow we'll get a bit of a gap here, and then higher clouds, eventually a bigger storm system. So this one, again, kicking up the wind. More mountain snow. Of course, rainfall likely, and the instability is still there. So we got to keep an eye out on just any kind of crazy weather that we tend to get this time of year. Tornadoes, obviously very rare, but they technically have happened before. So we'll keep the onshore flow tonight. Showers overnight tonight. very hit and miss, nothing crazy. We go into tomorrow, bit of a break, okay? Notice where we're at. The wind's coming in out of the south, so maybe a little breezy. The next storm moves through Wednesday night, all right? So tomorrow's your day to get out, get some errands run if you don't want to get wet. We do have that rain coming in Wednesday night and overcast conditions with, of course, widespread rain on Thursday morning. The wind will be cranking on the coast. It's also going to be cranking in and around Whidbey Island, the San Juans, gusts between 40 and 50 miles per hour. This is 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. The wind sticks with us, transitions out of the west. We stay active Thursday afternoon. Looks like we get a little bit of a break and then a new storm coming in by the time we head into Friday and Saturday. So when we take a look at snow amounts, additional amounts, looks like we're going to pick up a good amount, anywhere from about 1/2 foot to 1.5 feet on average with your Thursday system up and over the Cascades. If you're traveling, take your chains. Conditions over the mountain passes have been somewhat treacherous over the last couple of days. Highs down here around Seattle will be in the low 50s. In fact, most of Puget Sound will be 40s and 50s. We cool down for the first day of winter, and Sunday game day, we do have some showers sticking around with that new storm on the horizon.
All right, thanks, Jordan. Today marks 1 year since that Amtrak train derailment in DuPont that killed 3 people. There's been talk about restarting service on that Point Defiance bypass route, but it hasn't happened yet. It's tentatively set for March.
But that can't happen until the National Transportation Safety Board completes its investigation into what went wrong, and that's expected early next year. The NTSB initially said the train rounded a curve at 80 miles per hour in a 30-mile-per-hour zone. 13 of its 14 cars jumped the tracks. The derailment injured dozens of people, including 81-year-old Rudy Wetzel, who has undergone several back surgeries over the past year.
I was a healthy person all my life, and suddenly, you know, I'm having problems walking. I had problems vision. I had these shakes, I call them.
Since the crash, Amtrak has been making safety improvements like launching a new safety management system. It's also developing a stricter process in the way it chooses new routes like the one through DuPont. Meantime, both federal and local officials continue to work on installing positive train control. Under federal law, every train track in the country is required to have it by the end of the year, but some rail companies are eligible for a 2-year extension.
A woman who set the stage for so many other women in Hollywood has died. Penny Marshall, who starred in Laverne and Shirley before becoming one of the top-grossing female directors in Hollywood, died at the age of 75 due to complications from diabetes. As a filmmaker, she became the first woman to direct a film that grossed more than $100 million. It was big. The 1988 comedy starring Tom Hanks.
Up next in sports, the Metro showdown between Rainier Beach and O'Dea. And we'll take flight in the wildest of ways. We're with the Red Bull Air Force next. Prep showdown, state champion coaches Jason Kerr and Mike Bethea leading O'Dea and Rainier Beach tonight. Jamon Kemp with the sweet spin and step back from the stripe. O'Dea counters with the quick baseline drive. Calvin Thomas III just gets it up and over. Beach by 8 at the half. Irish keep it close with the long ball. John Christophilus deep. In the end, Rainier Beach will win the first of many Metro matchups to come. Micah Monroe with a great body control. Beach wins it 70-67. College hoops, the Zags taking out losses to Tennessee and North Carolina on Texas Arlington tonight. Corey Kispert hits the long ball. Gonzaga shoots 53%. Rui Hachimura goes for 20 points and 11 rebounds. Zags out to a 19-5 lead. They're up 48-30 at halftime. They go on a 15-3 run in the second half. Brandon Clark, 17 points, 13 rebounds. Gonzaga pounds Texas Arlington 89-55. Former Everett Silvertip Carter Hart became the youngest goalie in Flyers history to win his NHL debut, 20 years and 127 days old. He made 22 saves in a 3-2 win over Detroit. Hart was Philadelphia's second-round pick in the 2016 NHL draft. He was the first goalie taken in that draft. Last month, we celebrated King TV's 70th anniversary and reminisced about some of the quality talent we've had here over the years. Photographer Scott Mclaughlin was one of those people we were fortunate enough to work with in that time. Scotty now freelances on some awesome assignments, like this one with the Red Bull Air Force team. He directed this episode, shot along the mammoth walls of the Alps in Switzerland and in Italy. These shots are incredible. Miles Above. Season 3 is now available on Red Bull TV. Miles Dasher leads the team, which includes Luke Akins and Andy Farrington, both of Shelton. You might remember Akins skydiving without a parachute a couple summers ago. Dasher himself has more than 7,200 skydives, but the Alps are a thrill ride.
It's a pretty amazing flight, though. It's so steep here that you're not just like, you know, trying to outdo terrain. You're actually diving at terrain as fast as you can. Just before you get speed wobbles, you're like, "Wah, buck 60. Ah, my hair's on fire." What, Miles? You don't have any hair.
Buck 60.
Amazing.
That's
Thanks,
fast.
Paul.
All
We'll
right.
be right back. That's it for us right now. Thank you for watching.
King 5 Mornings will have continued coverage of the Port Orchard tornado. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Good night.